So as you know, I'm sure you know, so we are talking about an executive MSc part-time, which has a duration of 2 years, and that's the MSc in Sustainable and Digital Banking, which is underpinned by the Senior Investment Banking Professional Apprenticeship Standard. So there are 2 routes. People can come via the apprenticeship route. So in essence, they would need to discuss this initiative with their banking organization or an organization that perhaps works a lot with banks in order to gain their support to become an apprentice on this program. Alternatively, you may choose to self-fund, in which case, obviously, you wouldn't be doing an apprenticeship, you would be doing, let's say, our traditional executive MSc program. Just to tell you a little bit about Cranfield and the School of Management, we have a very strong heritage, of which I'm sure all of us here at Cranfield are very proud of. We are one of the oldest providers of executive education in the UK and Europe. For 50 years, we have been working with large, small organizations, charities, governments, and really for us, one of our, I would say our great motto is really to transform knowledge into action. And so all our programs are very much based on this motto. And in doing so, we, as I mentioned before, we work very closely with businesses and with our executive students and alumni to continuously develop our programs, the curriculum within our programs to suit the needs of our students, of our prospective students and apprentices, and basically the demands of the market. We are exclusively postgraduates, so it sets us apart from other universities in the UK. And as I said, we are very much focused on practical outcomes, both in management and technology. We are one of a small group of business schools that is triple accredited. That is, we are accredited by an American body, which is known as AACSB, by AMBA, which is a UK body, and EQUIS, which is a European body, and all of them accredit business schools that they regard as having very high quality of education and education delivery. So we are very happy to be part of this small group of business schools. We are a UK top 10 business school, and we have, I'm proud to say that we have an accolade, let's say, of successes when it comes to rankings. I'll just name a few. So this MSc, of course, relies on the collaboration of different teams here at Cranfield. And so as part of it, and the way it was developed, it was that we would, we have people from finance, from management, marketing, different areas within the School of Management that will contribute to the program. And so a lot of our successes that we've had as well on other programs are going to reflect on what we do as well with this program. So for instance, finance and management is ranked 8th in the UK. Our management MSc is ranked 4th. This is like a hot off the press news, really. Strategic marketing MSc is ranked 5th in the UK. So that really demonstrates the quality of what we deliver in all these areas. And of course, when you do an MSc in sustainable and digital banking, we will be bringing in curriculum from marketing, management, finance, accounting, all of that. Okay. Now, We always say that in Cranfield, because we are exclusively postgraduate as a business school and university, that we are like a big family. But in fact, we are a vast big family. You can see from there that we have alumni, so some of our previous students and apprentices all over the world. And at the moment, I think the latest figure is around 82,000 alumni. So our network is vast, but it is greatly effective, I would say very caring towards current students, towards the university. And in fact, in the latest ranking by The Economist, we were ranked global number 1 when it comes to breadth and effectiveness of our alumni network. We have alumni from more than 170 countries at the moment, and we run many alumni events. So there's lots of opportunities to engage with some of our previous students. One thing that I think is really important is that sometimes when people think, okay, so I'm going to go back to university or go to university for the first time, but it's been perhaps a long time since you've been at university, and you may not consider yourself as, you know, the traditional student, yes? Well, we don't consider you either. So you can see from that figure there on the right-hand corner that up to around 50% of our learners are actually part-time executive learners. And so we know what it means to be an executive student. We know what it means to have to juggle lots of different things at the same time. And that's what I think makes Cranfield so different, because if you come to Cranfield and if you enroll in a program like this one, you will be surrounded by like-minded individuals. I mean, these are just some examples of some of the organizations that we work with. I think we are working with more than 1,500 organizations. Many of them are leading organizations in different countries around the world. I may have mentioned already a little bit about this. So, I mean, really being the first university provider of a master's level apprenticeship, the first business school to deliver the senior leader apprenticeship, being the first business school to deliver the senior investment commercial banking professional postgraduate apprenticeship program, really demonstrates our commitment to working with businesses and people who are in business. You have here just a quote from Simon Thompson, who is a great advocate of our program, and he's the CEO of the Charter Banker Institute, and where he says that really this MSc helps future leaders develop and demonstrate the knowledge and skills needed to shape the future of banking. And for sure, we are going through a time of great change, great uncertainty, where banks and many other organizations are being tested. And for sure, the banking industry supports, obviously is responsible not just by the banking sector and the banking industry, but supports so many organizations. So it's great to see that a program like this is endorsed by Simon. Again, I think I mentioned a little bit about this. So if you want to do the apprenticeship standard or you want to be self-funded, anyway, what we would say is that we are looking for individuals that are talented and have a real thirst for real world business education in banking. We want to hear from also organizations in the financial services who want to develop the skills of their people. And for those that would like to apply, if you haven't already applied for this program, I would say that we expect that individuals will be challenged, and I think people wouldn't like it any other way. You want to do this because you want to learn, but we also want people to be committed not only to develop themselves, but to develop and help develop the teams around them. At Cranfield, we do believe that if you want to aim higher, you need to bring along the individuals around you, the teams around you. With respect to background, so, well, some people come with a technical background, maybe in IT, maybe in maths or some other technical type of subject. Others, I would say, actually don't have a first degree, and I mentioned this briefly. If you don't have a first degree, but actually you have been working in the banking industry for several years, you can demonstrate how you have contributed to the sector, how your career has been advancing, and how you are committed to your development. And so that's why you want to do the MSc. Then we will certainly look at your application. You may have an interview, but I wouldn't like you to think that just because you don't have a first degree, you shouldn't be applying for a program like this. Please do, and feel free, even before you apply, to have a discussion with me or any of my colleagues, so that we can answer any questions that you may have, clarify any points that you may need clarification on. I'm sure this you can see from the structure that is present on our web pages, but in essence there are 12 modules through the 2 years of this program, and upon successful completion of the program, the learners will also be awarded a Charter Banker diploma. And so that relates to what I mentioned to you about the alignment of our academic qualification to the professional qualification provided by the Charter Banker Institute. As a result of this, people who successfully complete the program will also be, of course, awarded full Charter Banker status, which is great to have, really, particularly if you're working in the banking industry. I guess I've already talked a little bit about the content of the program, so I'll just skip this because I would like us to have some time for questions if there are any. Just to say that roughly you will have sessions every other Monday for half a day. There are a few occasions where you would have sessions the whole day on a Monday, but that happens when you come to Cranfield. And we know how flexible we need to be to accommodate your needs at work. So we are trying to keep those touch points at Cranfield University to a relatively small number. So you would be required to come maybe 3 or 4 Mondays at most per year. But my experience from dealing with all the previous cohorts is that actually people, they like once in a while to come to Cranfield and to engage with their colleagues, with their lecturers, with staff face to face, and in many ways, just immerse themselves in the Cranfield experience, which can be tricky because I know people are very busy, but at the same time, sometimes it's good to just step a little bit away from work and fully immerse yourself in your learning experience. In terms of time commitment, for sure, if you use the apprenticeship route, then you need to agree with your employer that you will have at least 20% of the job training. Now, beyond that, sometimes people ask me, okay, so how much more in terms of time do I need to allocate to this program? And I would say it really depends on the individual. It depends on your work experience. It depends on your academic background. So obviously, if you are in marketing and that's what you do on a daily basis, perhaps the module around marketing management, you would find it really maybe easy. And so you wouldn't need as much time to prepare for the sessions, to prepare for the assessment, relative to, say, a module in economics or accounting. So different people will need different amounts of time to prepare for different sessions. And it also depends on whether you want to learn as much as possible or whether you're happy with a certain standard in terms of your learning. With respect to assessments, one thing I would say is in this program, there are no exams. Now, I'm sure that a lot of people will be happy with that. There are no exams. We have a combination of individual and group assignments. They are normally reports, presentations, sometimes the result of some exercises to do with simulations. So yes, those are the kind of assessments that you will have. Just very briefly to say that also the School of Management has a dedicated library service. So you will have, if you submit your application, if you enroll on this program, then you would have a dedicated librarian that will support you with respect to the library services, which are, there are multiple areas of such services, as you can see there. I won't go into a lot of detail on this. And then very quickly and specifically to do with the apprenticeship, I'm sure that some of you have already done some research and talked to your employer about this. Obviously, in order for you to be, so you go through a process of undertaking 12 taught modules on this program. That needs to be in tandem with the development of a portfolio of evidence where you address how your knowledge, skills, and behaviors have developed as a result of the program that you are undertaking and the impact that you are making with your actions, with your renewed knowledge in your organization. So you need, by the time you are submitted to Gateway, you need to have successfully completed all the taught academic modules. If you have done that successfully, you will then have your professional qualification, which is the Charter Banker Diploma, and you'll also have the Charter Banker status. You cannot be submitted to Gateway until you've got, all these, all the modules completed. You also need to have completed your level 2 English and Maths. And of course, I mentioned about the portfolio of evidence of the various KSBs, which need to have been met. So once this is all complete, you are submitted to Gateway, and then you will be required to attend an interview. But in preparation for that interview, you also need to complete a work-based project. And of course, you need to revisit your portfolio of evidence, because you will be tested on that during your endpoint assessment. In terms of the starting date, 4th of December is the starting date of the next cohort. I think, just to really summarize that, I'm really passionate about this program, because in essence, you get an apprenticeship if you're doing it via the apprenticeship route, and you also get an academic qualification. So you get your Cranfield MSc in Sustainable and Digital Banking, and a professional qualification by the Charter Banker Institute, so the Charter Banker Diploma. So I think it is a great package for someone that wants to enroll in a program like this. And that's it. So the next step really for those that are interested is to apply online, either via the apprenticeship route or the non-apprentice, so the standard route. Okay, I think that's it from me. I hope that I have covered most things with this presentation, but I'm of course open to questions now.
Thank you very much, Catarina. Yes, just to remind everybody, if that has fired off any questions in your mind, please do type them into the chat. Make sure you label it everyone so that my team can pick them up, and we'll answer as many of these as we can over the next, we've got about 12, 13 minutes of questions. So let's see, I do have a few questions. Now, are there any specific skills or knowledge areas that applicants should have before applying for this program?
Okay, so obviously this is a program that is a master's level qualification, and with respect to apprenticeship, it's a level 7 apprenticeship. So it is primarily targeted at those individuals that are senior banking professionals, or that are on a clear route to becoming senior banking professionals. Okay, so obviously it's individuals that already have a certain level of work experience, and that, you know, they want to develop their talent. If it is the case that they are being sponsored by their organizations, then I'm sure that it will be, those organizations will want to encourage individuals that they see as, you know, great employees that they have identified, often even for, you know, new initiatives, who knows, for promotion. So what we see as well is that a lot of people, and I wouldn't like to say that everyone that is being supported by an organization will be promoted, but what we see over the years is that people have developed so much with respect to their knowledge, skills and behaviors whilst they've been doing a program like this, that many of them have secured promotions, have advanced within the organization, have been exposed to new new initiatives, new responsibilities, have widened their roles, even if, you know, we are not specifically talking about promotions, but many of them have. So I think it's for those individuals that actually think, okay, now, you know, it's a great time for me to see how I can develop my career into perhaps a wider role, a more strategic, more senior role.
Okay, that's because you know, promotion's important, but actually developing your role and being involved in more and more complex projects and work is actually its own reward as well.
And I have to say that in some cases, because we've also had, you know, over the years, a lot of individuals that are actually very senior individuals within banking organizations, and sometimes it's not about getting the next promotion, but it's about their own personal development, the renewal of their knowledge, being up to date with the most recent challenges, opportunities that are presented by, you know, the business environment. So yes, it's I think it's about, it may be about careers and professional aspirations, but also personal ones. I think they are important, very, very important. And in a way, they are central, because if you don't have that personal as well aspiration of growing as an individual and in terms of your learning and the acquisition of new knowledge, then perhaps the motivation is not always there. So it's important that you have that within you.
Okay. Can you say a little bit more about how sustainability has placed into the program. Yeah, it's about sustainability topics, which sustainability topics are addressed, and actually how that is merged into some of the banking subjects.
Well, I mean, I would say, so we have one module that is specifically looking at sustainable banking and you know, the different areas with respect to banking. However, nowadays sustainability permeates, I would say, all areas within banking. So, for instance, the first module that students have is economics. So, economics of sustainable financial services. And by the time they finish the first module, they are, just to give you an example, they are required to produce a report, which is going to be a group report. And by the way, as I mentioned before, we do encourage people to work in teams. And so in this group report, they need to assess the business environment of a particular banking organization. It may be their own organization, or it may be a competitor. Sometimes I say to my students that sometimes the best way to know what your organization is good and is not so good in is to maybe look at close competitors. Yes. And when you assess them and examine them, then you look at your own and you think, oh, but we do so much better in this, or maybe we could improve in that. So there will be such an exercise as part of their assessment. But then I always say, okay, now give us some recommendations in terms of how your organization can improve. But in those recommendations, they definitely need to consider sustainability. So they need to see how their recommendations can address some, whether it is environmental or social or governance issues, or how they can instill a greater sense of sustainability in their clients, perhaps by developing or changing some products or services that they are offering. So, you know, that's just an example in terms of the first module. But we will be, of course, talking a lot more about different areas that they need to consider with respect to sustainable, the operation of financial services in a sustainable manner, or towards a more sustainable manner, I should say.
Okay, thank you. There's actually a question from Brad McMillan, who's at Metro Bank.
Okay.
He says a couple of things I didn't quite understand. Yeah, I join with him on that one. But what does 20% off the job mean, and what are level 2 English and maths?
Okay, right. So in terms of 20% off the job training, basically what that means is that if you decide to undertake this program as part of an apprenticeship route, that means you have to be in you have to discuss with probably your line manager. I would say as well with some Wilson at Metro Bank, who, you know, she's a fountain of knowledge when it comes to apprenticeships. I know some well. I hope she'll agree with me on this. And so I'm sure she'll be able to provide some clarity. But in essence, you would need to, first of all, get approval from Metro Bank to be able to pursue the apprenticeship. And secondly, as part of the requirement to pursue an apprenticeship, Metro Bank will have to allow 20% of your work to be dedicated to undertaking this program.
So would 20% your working hours, is that
working
hours? Yeah.
So if you work full time, then that would be the equivalent roughly of 1 day a week would be allocated to your studies. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to always have 1 day a week for your studies. It could be that, or maybe 1 week actually you have a full load of work, so the following week you may have 2 days that you can allocate to your studies. So, but there is a certain flexibility, and that needs to be discussed with your employer. But in reality, by the time you do your program, you need to have been able to have had at least the equivalent of 1 day of your working week, if you work full time, allocated to your studies. So that's what it would mean in terms of the 20%. Obviously, this only applies to those that go through the apprenticeship route. And then the other point
What about
was
what is level 2
the
English
level
and
2
maths?
English and maths. Now, I'm sure that our apprenticeships team would be able to provide more information on this, but generally, if you have GCSEs in English and maths, I think you need to have at least the equivalent of what used to be a C in order to be admitted onto the program, provided that you meet all the other admission requirements. If that is not the case, then here at Cranfield, we can provide you with some support in terms of how you can prepare to do English and maths, or or one or the other, in order to qualify for at least this part of the admissions requirements. So yes. But if you need any further information on that, I would say just you can even drop me a quick line at catarina.figueira at cranfield.ac.uk, or alternatively to apprenticeships at cranfield.ac.uk, and they will be able to advise you. So if you tell them what kind of qualifications you have, I'm sure they'll be able to help you.
Yes, because obviously many of you may have qualifications gained elsewhere in the world.
It could be.
That's reasonable enough, and our team is quite very well experienced in making sure that they can tell what level that's at, and if you need to do anything extra.
Yes. And David, that's a great point, because we've had people that work for instance, banking organizations now in the UK, but maybe 4 or 5 years ago they were, I don't know, in the US or in France, and they have qualifications from other countries. So they can help you with that.
I
so
mean,
that's a great
one
point.
other thing I would also suggest is if you are interested in this, and as you start thinking about it, where you do run a series, you'll meet me, myself, or Dr. Toby Thompson, and the studio director, as we talk with the administration team from the apprenticeships about the apprenticeships themselves and what some of these things mean. If there are further questions about level 2 English and maths and other issues, they will be available to you in the build up to the start date. So there's no problem there.
Yes.
Sorry, there was a follow-up question from Brad. Actually, because obviously I'm very lucky. I get to teach with Catarina for 4 hours on a Monday morning. Okay, is that 4 hours included, and is that part of the 20%?
Yes, it is. Okay, yes.
And obviously, that's only once a fortnight, isn't it?
Normally once a fortnight.
Yeah.
Unless students and apprentices, of course, come to Cranfield, which is, it is seldom in the year. But when they come for a full day. So they would have, say, one module in the morning, one module in the afternoon. We don't want them having to have economics, say, the whole day. So they may have economics and accounting, or financial management, or project management, program and project management. So you would have two modules. But roughly, it would be 4 hours every other week.
Okay, so we've actually got about 2.5 minutes. This is flown past, actually. I was quite surprised by the time. So probably one more question. I think this is from, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Ishtak, because they've said another question from Ishtak. Oh, Ishtak Ahmed from HSBC.
Yes.
Given it's an academic qualification, is there a view you can share on evaluation methodology? Do learners get individual feedback, marks, scores? What weightage is given to participation, group work, assessments, case studies? But in 2 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. If you give, I know if we give you a chance, you
I would speak for the whole day.
She's so passionate, she could talk the whole day about this.
That's right, yes. And so I would say, before I address that question, again, if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. I'm very happy for us to have a chat. But yes, there will be guidelines with respect to all of that. Everyone is going to get, so if you produce an individual piece of work, you will get individual feedback. If it is a group report, obviously you would get feedback on the group report. And you may have also some formative assessments, for instance, in presentations where you're asked to do a presentation and you get some immediate verbal feedback as well. So you will have a combination of formative and summative assessments, and yes, you will get feedback on all of them. We also provide you clarity in terms of the weights of those assessments, for sure. Yes. Okay. I try to be brief.
Catarina, you are very brief. Thank you very much. So as we run into the last 30 seconds, certainly I encourage you to, there will be an email address provided at the end if you need to ask any further questions. Well, there are some questions here which we haven't answered, and I'll pass those on to the team so that we can answer them offline. But wherever you are in your world, thank you very much for attending. We're looking forward to seeing you again online, perhaps in some of the other sessions. So keep an eye on the website, and that'll let you know what's going on. And also, we hope to look forward to seeing you actually in the lessons where we facilitate with the academics over the 2 years. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much to Catarina for a very interesting session. Much appreciated.
Thank you, David.
And take care wherever you are in your world, whatever part of the day you're in. Have a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Have a good day.